You know what you are tired of. You are tired of watching people with less intelligence, less education, and less talent than you accumulate wealth while you remain exactly where you are. You are tired of convincing yourself that money does not matter, when deep down you know that financial freedom would change everything about how you move through this world. You have been playing by rules that were designed to keep you comfortable, not wealthy. You have been told that wealth comes from working harder, saving more, or waiting for the right opportunity. But every billionaire I have studied knows a different truth. They know that wealth is not created in the marketplace. It is created in the mind first, then it manifests in reality. Tonight, you will learn the exact mental framework that separates those who accumulate billions from those who struggle for thousands. This is not about motivation or inspiration. This is about rewiring the fundamental operating system of your consciousness to think, decide, and act like someone who was born to be wealthy. I am going to show you how billionaires use their minds as wealth creation machines, how they program their subconscious to attract opportunities that others cannot even see, how they develop an unshakable inner conviction that wealth is not just possible for them, but inevitable. You will discover why your burning desire must be so intense that backup plans become impossible, why the speed of your decisions determines the speed of your wealth accumulation, why surrounding yourself with the right minds creates an energetic field that magnetizes abundance into your life. This knowledge will transform you from someone who hopes for wealth into someone who commands it. You will stop being the person who watches others succeed and become the person others watch. If you are ready to think like a billionaire thinks, to feel what a billionaire feels, and to take the actions that billionaires take, then subscribe to this channel right now. Because what you are about to learn will fundamentally alter your relationship with money forever. Number 1, the power of burning desire. You lie awake at night, don't you? Thinking about the life you could have, the freedom you could taste, the respect you could command. But when morning comes, that fire dims to a whisper, and you convince yourself that wanting more makes you greedy, that dreaming bigger makes you unrealistic. You have learned to apologize for your ambitions before you even speak them aloud. This is the tragedy of the modern mind. We have been taught that desire is dangerous, that wanting wealth is somehow impure. But I tell you this, every fortune that has ever been built, every empire that has ever risen, every breakthrough that has ever changed the world began with one thing: a burning, obsessive, all-consuming desire that refused to be silenced. Picture a furnace in the depths of winter. A weak flame barely warms the room, flickering with every draft, threatening to die with the smallest disturbance. But a roaring fire, fed with intention and purpose, transforms the entire space. It doesn't just warm, it dominates. It doesn't just exist, it commands. That is the difference between a wish and a burning desire. I once knew a man who worked in a factory, his hands stained with grease, his back bent from years of labor. Every day he walked past the mansion on the hill, and instead of feeling envy or resignation, he felt something else entirely, a fire that started in his chest and spread through his entire being. He didn't just want to live in that house, he needed to. He could taste the success, feel the marble floors beneath his feet, hear the echo of his footsteps in those grand hallways. That desire became his religion, his obsession, his very reason for breathing. Within 10 years, he didn't just own that mansion, he owned the entire hill. The moment you stop apologizing for your desire to be wealthy is the moment your transformation begins. Desire is not greed. Desire is the creative force of the universe expressing itself through you. It is the divine spark that separates those who merely exist from those who truly live. When your desire burns bright enough, it stops being a want and becomes a non-negotiable decision. Write down exactly how much money you want, not approximately, not a lot or enough to be comfortable, the precise amount. Write down the exact date by which you will have it. And write down exactly what you will give in return for this wealth. Read this every morning and every night until these words become the soundtrack of your subconscious mind. A burning desire knows no backup plan because it needs none. It accepts no excuses because it recognizes none. It tolerates no procrastination because every delay is a betrayal of your destined greatness. When your desire burns this intensely, obstacles become opportunities, problems become puzzles to solve, and impossibilities become inevitabilities waiting to unfold. Number 2, discipline as the foundation of wealth. You know that moment, don't you? When the alarm sounds and your first thought is to hit snooze, when you promise yourself you'll start tomorrow? When you choose the comfortable path because the difficult one requires too much of you. You have made peace with mediocrity by calling it balance, and you have convinced yourself that discipline is punishment rather than liberation. But every billionaire I have studied lives by a different truth. They understand that discipline is not restriction. Discipline is the bridge between your current reality and your destined greatness. It is the daily choice to honor your future self more than your present comfort. While others wake up motivated, billionaires wake up disciplined, and that distinction makes all the difference between dreaming and achieving. Think of discipline as the architect of your destiny. Motivation is the weather, changing with your mood, your circumstances, your energy levels. But discipline is the foundation of your mansion, solid and unshakable regardless of the storms that rage above. You don't need to feel like doing what must be done. You simply need to do it. There was a woman who inherited nothing but debt from her family. Every morning at 5 o'clock while the world slept, she would rise and study the minds of those who had built empires. She didn't feel like reading. She didn't feel like learning. She felt like staying in bed like everyone else. But she had made a promise to herself, and she understood that a person who cannot keep promises to themselves will never be trusted by the universe with wealth. Her discipline in those dark morning hours became the foundation of a business empire that now employs thousands. The turning point comes when you realize that discipline is not about forcing yourself to do things you hate. True discipline is about becoming so clear on who you want to become that you naturally align your actions with that identity. You don't have to force a tree to grow toward the sun. You don't have to convince water to flow downhill. When your vision is clear enough, discipline becomes as natural as breathing. Start with one non-negotiable promise to yourself. One action that you will take every single day, regardless of how you feel, regardless of your circumstances, regardless of what others think. It might be reading for 30 minutes. It might be writing down your goals. It might be investing a specific amount of money before you spend a single dollar on anything else. Choose something that honors your future wealth and commit to it as if your life depends on it. Discipline is self-love in action. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build unshakable self-confidence. Every time you choose the difficult right over the easy wrong, you strengthen the muscle of your character. Consistency in small actions creates momentum. Momentum creates inevitability. And inevitability creates wealth. Number 3, visualization as a creative tool. Close your eyes for a moment and tell me what you see when you imagine your wealthy life. If all you see is a vague blur of someday and maybe, then you have discovered why your bank account reflects exactly what your mind creates: nothing. Most people's financial futures are as blurry as their visualizations, as uncertain as their mental images, as weak as their imagination's ability to create reality. Your mind is the most sophisticated creative instrument in the universe, yet you treat it like a passive observer of life rather than the active architect of your destiny. Billionaires know something that you are about to learn. Every fortune that has ever been built was first constructed in the mind. Every empire that has ever risen was first visualized in vivid, emotional detail. The physical world is simply the printout of what was first designed in the laboratory of imagination. Your brain cannot distinguish between what you experience with your physical senses and what you experience with intense mental visualization. When you see, feel, hear, and emotionally experience your wealthy life in your mind, your subconscious begins to treat that vision as reality and starts attracting the people, opportunities, and resources needed to make it manifest in the physical world. I knew a young man who worked as a janitor in a corporate building. Every night, after cleaning the executive offices, he would sit in the chairman's chair and visualize himself running board meetings, making million-dollar decisions, commanding respect from industry leaders. He didn't just imagine having money. He felt the weight of responsibility, smelled the leather of executive briefcases, heard the applause of stakeholders, tasted the satisfaction of closing massive deals. Within 7 years, he didn't just work in that building, he owned it. The transformation begins when you stop using visualization as wishful thinking and start using it as mental rehearsal. You are not daydreaming about wealth. You are practicing for wealth. You are conditioning your mind, your emotions, and your energy to operate at the frequency of abundance. You are becoming familiar with success before it arrives. Set aside 20 minutes each day for this practice. See yourself living your wealthy life in specific, vivid detail. Feel the emotions of having already achieved your financial goals. Experience the confidence, the freedom, the power of your prosperous reality. Make it so real in your mind that your current circumstances seem like the temporary illusion they truly are. If you don't consciously fill your mind with images of wealth, prosperity, and success, it will unconsciously fill itself with images of struggle, limitation, and lack. Your visualization is either working for you or against you, but it is never neutral. When you master the art of creative visualization, you become the artist of your own destiny, painting your wealthy future with the brushstrokes of focused imagination. Number 4, quick and firm decision making. How many opportunities have you lost to the poison of indecision? How many doors have closed while you stood there weighing options, seeking more information, waiting for the perfect moment that never comes? You know the feeling. That paralyzing uncertainty that makes you freeze when action is required, that makes you second guess when conviction is needed, that makes you hesitate when boldness is the only currency that matters. Doubt is the language of the poor. Indecision is the thief of dreams. Every second you spend wavering between possibilities is a second stolen from your wealthy destiny. While you are deciding whether to act, someone with less talent, less education, and less preparation is already moving, already seizing, already winning. Billionaires possess a mental quality that separates them from everyone else. They make decisions quickly and change them slowly. Their minds are not cluttered with the endless chatter of what if and maybe I should. They see an opportunity. They evaluate it through the lens of their burning desire, and they decide. Instantly, completely, without reservation. There was a businessman who built his empire on what others considered impossible decisions. When everyone said the market was too risky, he invested everything. When experts advised caution, he doubled down. When conventional wisdom suggested waiting, he acted immediately. His secret was not that he was smarter than everyone else. His secret was that he had eliminated the word maybe from his vocabulary. To him, every decision was either yes or no, never perhaps. The moment you make a true decision, the universe begins to reorganize itself to support that decision. Resources appear, people emerge, opportunities materialize. This is not mysticism. This is the natural response of reality to the focused energy of a decided mind. When your mental energy is scattered across multiple possibilities, your power is diluted. When it is concentrated on a single decision, your power becomes unstoppable. Here is what you must understand about decision-making and wealth. You don't decide to be rich when you have enough information. You don't decide to be rich when the path is clear. You don't decide to be rich when success is guaranteed. You decide to be rich, and then you make it happen. Decision comes first, evidence comes second. Starting today, practice making decisions quickly in small matters. When you're choosing what to eat, choose immediately. When you're selecting what to wear, decide instantly. When opportunities present themselves, evaluate them against your burning desire and choose without delay. Train your decision-making muscle in low-stakes situations so it will be strong when wealth-creating opportunities demand immediate action. A confused mind leads to a confused life. A decided mind creates a powerful reality. When you become someone who decides quickly and acts immediately, you become someone the universe can trust with wealth, power, and unlimited opportunity. Number 5, the master mind. Look around you right now. Look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Listen to their conversations. Observe their dreams. Notice their bank accounts. If you are honest with yourself, you will see that their collective reality is a mirror of your own. You have unconsciously surrounded yourself with people who think small, dream small, and achieve small. And then you wonder why your own wealth remains small. You have been trying to build wealth in isolation, believing that success is a solo journey, that you can think your way to riches from the confines of your own mind. But prosperity doesn't bloom in isolation. Wealth is created when minds unite in harmony around a common purpose, when individual limitations dissolve into collective power, when the impossible becomes inevitable through the multiplication of focused intention. When two or more minds work together in perfect harmony toward a definite purpose, they create a third mind, an invisible force of wisdom and power that surpasses anything any individual mind could produce alone. This is not theory. This is the secret weapon that every billionaire has used to accelerate their path to wealth. I witnessed this principle in action when 5 struggling entrepreneurs decided to meet every week to support each other's dreams. Individually, they had been fighting uphill battles, making slow progress, facing obstacles that seemed insurmountable. But when they united their minds around the common purpose of creating wealth, something magical happened. Ideas flowed that none of them had thought of alone. Opportunities appeared that none of them could have accessed individually. Connections formed that multiplied their collective power exponentially. Within 2 years, all 5 had achieved the wealth that had eluded them for decades. The transformation happens when you stop seeing other successful people as competition and start seeing them as collaborators. When you realize that wealth consciousness is contagious, that prosperity shared is prosperity multiplied, that the energy of abundance grows stronger when it flows between aligned minds working towards similar goals. Identify 3 to 5 people who share your burning desire for wealth and success. These don't have to be people who already have millions. They need to be people who think like millionaires, who dream like millionaires, who are committed to becoming millionaires. Meet with them regularly. Share your goals. Support their dreams. Hold each other accountable. Challenge each other to think bigger, act bolder, reach higher. When you surround yourself with people who vibrate at the frequency of abundance, you cannot help but be pulled up to their level. When you are the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong room. When you are the most ambitious person in your circle, you need a bigger circle. Your mastermind group becomes the invisible force that transforms your individual desire into collective inevitability. The universe responds to group intention with far greater power than it responds to individual desire. When your mastermind focuses their combined mental energy on your success, and you focus your energy on theirs, you create an unstoppable force that wealth cannot resist. Number 6. Unshakable faith and the spiritual code of wealth. You pray for wealth, but do you believe you will receive it? You visualize prosperity, but do you trust it will manifest? You set financial goals, but do you have faith they will materialize? If you are honest, you will admit that somewhere deep inside, a voice whispers doubts, a voice that says you are not worthy, not capable, not destined for the wealth you desire. This voice is not your intuition. It is fear masquerading as wisdom. Faith is not passive hoping. Faith is not wishful thinking. Faith is not sitting back and waiting for the universe to deliver your desires on a silver platter. True faith is the mental, emotional, and spiritual conviction that what you desire is already yours in the invisible realm, and it is simply a matter of time before it manifests in the physical world. Billionaires operate from a consciousness that what they seek is seeking them. They understand that wealth is not something they must chase, beg for, or convince to come to them. Wealth is something they must prepare to receive, align themselves to attract, and have faith will arrive as surely as the sun rises each morning. There was a woman who started with nothing but a profound faith that she was destined for wealth. When banks rejected her loan applications, she had faith that the right funding would appear. When competitors tried to destroy her business, she had faith that she would emerge stronger. When market conditions turned against her, she had faith that the tide would turn in her favor. Her faith was not blind optimism. It was a deep knowing that success was her spiritual birthright, and no temporary circumstance could change that truth. Today, her net worth exceeds $100 million. The moment you begin to live from faith rather than fear is the moment your financial reality begins to shift. Faith shapes your decisions, your actions, your energy, your very presence in the world. When you have unshakable faith in your wealthy destiny, you stop acting from desperation and start acting from power. You stop begging for opportunities and start commanding them. Here is the practice that will build your faith in your wealthy future. Every morning, before you check your bank account, before you look at your bills, before you engage with any evidence of your current financial reality, spend 10 minutes affirming your faith in your prosperous destiny. Declare it, feel it. Thank the universe for wealth that is already yours but has not yet appeared in your physical experience. Faith without action is dead, but action without faith is merely busy work. When you combine unwavering faith with persistent action, you become a force that wealth cannot resist. You become someone the universe trusts with abundance because you trust the universe to provide it. Your faith becomes the magnet that draws to you everything necessary for your financial transformation. Number 7, breaking free from scarcity thinking. Listen to the words that come out of your mouth when you talk about money. I can't afford it. Money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. There's not enough to go around. These phrases didn't originate from your experience. They were planted in your mind by people who never achieved wealth, who never understood abundance, who lived their entire lives imprisoned by scarcity thinking. And now you are unconsciously reproducing their limitations. Scarcity is a mental virus that spreads through families, communities, and generations. It convinces you that there is not enough money, not enough opportunity, not enough success to go around. It makes you see other people's wealth as evidence of your own inability to prosper. It turns abundance into a zero-sum game where someone else's victory automatically means your defeat. But billionaires know a different truth. They understand that wealth is not a pie with limited slices. Wealth is a river with unlimited flow. When you dam up that river with thoughts of limitation, fear, and scarcity, you cut yourself off from the natural abundance that wants to flow into your life. When you remove those mental dams, wealth flows to you as naturally as water flows downhill. I once met a man who had grown up in grinding poverty, surrounded by people who believed that wanting more was selfish, that dreaming big was foolish, that rich people were somehow morally inferior. For 40 years, he lived from paycheck to paycheck, always struggling, always stressed, always convinced that financial security was for other people. Then one day, he made a decision that changed everything. He decided to consciously reverse every scarcity belief he had inherited. Instead of, "I can't afford it," he began saying, "How can I afford it?" Instead of, "Money is hard to come by," he began affirming, "Money flows to me easily and abundantly." Instead of resenting other people's success, he began celebrating it as proof of what was possible. Within 3 years, his income had increased by 400%. The shift happens when you realize that your thoughts about money are creating your experience with money. If you think money is hard to make, it will be hard to make. If you think rich people are bad, you will unconsciously sabotage your own efforts to become wealthy. If you think there is not enough to go around, you will always find yourself on the outside looking in. Begin today to consciously reprogram your relationship with abundance. When you catch yourself thinking thoughts of limitation, immediately replace them with thoughts of possibility. When you hear others complaining about money, refuse to participate in those conversations. When you see evidence of wealth and success, train yourself to feel inspired rather than envious. Surround yourself with symbols of abundance. Read books written by people who have created wealth. Listen to conversations that expand your sense of what is possible. Associate with people who think in terms of opportunity rather than obstacle. Your environment is constantly programming your subconscious mind. Make sure it is programming you for wealth rather than limitation. No one has ever become wealthy with a poor mindset, but everyone who has shifted from scarcity thinking to abundance thinking has seen their financial reality transform accordingly. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. Change your thinking and you change your life. Number 8, unshakable self-confidence. You walk into rooms apologizing for your presence before anyone has even noticed you've arrived. You speak your dreams in whispers as if they are secrets to be ashamed of rather than destinies to be proclaimed. You negotiate with yourself out of opportunities before anyone else has the chance to say no. You have become your own greatest enemy, your harshest critic, your most effective obstacle to wealth. If you do not believe in yourself, why should anyone else believe in you? If you do not trust yourself with small responsibilities, Why should the universe trust you with great wealth? If you cannot speak with confidence about your own abilities, how can you expect others to invest in your vision? Self-confidence is not arrogance. Self-confidence is the quiet, unshakable knowing that you are capable of achieving whatever you set your mind to accomplish. Every billionaire I have studied possessed one quality that distinguished them from everyone around them. They believed in themselves when no one else did. They trusted their vision when others called it impossible. They bet on their own abilities when conventional wisdom advised against it. Their self-confidence was not dependent on external validation, market conditions, or other people's opinions. It was an internal flame that burned regardless of circumstances. There was a young woman who was told repeatedly that she would never amount to anything. Teachers said she wasn't smart enough. Family members said she wasn't talented enough. Society said she didn't have the right connections. But she had something more powerful than anyone's opinion. She had unshakable faith in her own potential. Every morning she looked in the mirror and affirmed her worth, her capabilities, her destined success. Every setback became proof of her resilience. Every rejection became fuel for her determination. Today, she is one of the wealthiest self-made women in the world. The transformation begins when you stop waiting for permission to believe in yourself. You don't need anyone's approval to pursue your dreams. You don't need anyone's validation to know your worth. You don't need anyone's encouragement to take action toward your goals. Self-confidence is a decision you make, not a feeling you wait to experience. Start building your self-confidence muscle through small daily victories. Keep every promise you make to yourself, no matter how small. Celebrate every goal you achieve, no matter how minor. Acknowledge every improvement you make, no matter how gradual. Your self-confidence grows through evidence, and evidence is created through action. Stop speaking about yourself in diminishing terms. Stop apologizing for your ambitions. Stop downplaying your achievements. Stop seeking validation from people who have never accomplished what you are trying to accomplish. Your words shape your reality. If you speak of yourself as small, you will remain small. If you speak of yourself as destined for greatness, greatness will begin to seek you out. Self-confidence is the silent foundation upon which all wealth is built. It is the muscle that sustains your vision until it manifests. It is the force that attracts opportunity, inspires trust, and commands respect. When you become your own greatest ally, the universe becomes your partner in creating the wealthy, abundant, extraordinary life you were born to live. You stand now at the threshold of a different existence, not because you have learned something new, but because you have remembered something ancient. The wealth that calls to you has always been yours. The abundance that seems so distant has always been within reach. The billionaire mindset that feels so foreign has always been your natural state, buried beneath layers of conditioning, fear, and borrowed limitations. Right now, in this very moment, your subconscious mind is reorganizing itself around these principles. Your burning desire is intensifying, your discipline is strengthening, your faith is deepening. Your decisions are becoming clearer, faster, more aligned with your destined prosperity. You are not the same person who began this journey, even though you may not yet see the evidence in your bank account. Think of a river that has been blocked by fallen trees and accumulated debris. For years, the water has been reduced to a trickle, barely flowing, seemingly powerless. But when those obstacles are removed, the river doesn't gradually return to its natural state. It surges forward with tremendous force, reclaiming its power, flowing with the intensity that was always its birthright. You are that river. These principles are the force that removes the debris. Your wealth consciousness is awakening not because you are becoming someone new, but because you are returning to who you have always been beneath the surface of limitation. The billionaires who live these truths are not special because they discovered secret knowledge. They are wealthy because they align themselves with universal laws that respond to anyone who applies them with consistency and faith. You now carry the same knowledge. You now possess the same tools. You now have access to the same infinite abundance that flows through every corner of creation. If these principles resonate in your soul, if this knowledge feels like coming home, then subscribe to continue walking this path of transformation. Because what you have experienced here is not the destination, it is the awakening. Your wealthy destiny is not something you will achieve someday. It is something you are becoming right now, with every breath, with every choice, with every moment you align yourself with the consciousness of abundance.